The pass had been quiet for 11 days. No movement on the ridge, no shadows crossing the tree line below. Nothing but wind and the slow accumulation of snow on stone. The two men had been posted here since the cold set in properly, before the frost hardened the ground, before the nights stopped ending. They stood perhaps 30 paces apart. Each man faced the valley. Each man had stopped speaking 3 days ago, not from conflict, but because speaking cost warmth, and warmth was no longer something to spend carelessly. Their breath came in short clouds. Their cloaks had stiffened. The cold had moved past discomfort 2 nights prior and settled into something duller, something that no longer announced itself. The first man did not move. His name was Aldrich. He was the younger of the two, though you would not have guessed it by looking at him. He stood with his weight distributed evenly, shoulders back, eyes on the horizon. His father had been a soldier, his grandfather before that. In the house where Aldrich was raised, a man who left his post was not spoken of as a coward. He was not spoken of at all. That silence was the punishment, the eraser. Aldrich had understood this before he was old enough to carry a weapon. His jaw was clenched. His fingers had stopped burning 2 hours ago and moved into something he did not examine too carefully. He thought about the warmth below. He thought about it the way a man thinks about something that doesn't belong to him. But he stayed. The second man's name was Corvin. He had stood as long as he could make sense of standing. He was not young. He had served 3 campaigns before this posting. He had learned across those campaigns that principle is a luxury of men who are not yet cold enough. He watched the same horizon as Aldrich. He saw the same nothing. 11 days of nothing. He thought about his hands. He thought about the small fire that would be burning in the valley camp. He thought about the cook and the broth and the particular weight of a blanket over his shoulders. And then he thought about duty. He turned the word over. It had no heat in it. He looked at his hands. The color they had gone, the way the knuckles had seized. The word duty did not change that. He turned and walked. He did not run. He did not look back. He walked with the unhurried motion of a man who has finished the calculation and is acting on the result. The snow accepted his footprints, and the wind covered them. Aldrich did not watch him go. The hours passed, and the horizon remained empty. Aldrich's eyelashes began to ice at the corners. He blinked slowly. He kept his weight even. He held his position, the way a man holds a belief, not because the evidence demanded it in that moment, but because releasing it would cost more than maintaining it. Later, when the relief party arrived at dusk, they found one man at his post. They said the appropriate things, and Aldrich received them with a nod. He said nothing about Corvin. He did not need to. Some things were understood without language. That night, in the camp below, Corvin sat beside the fire. His hands were beginning to return to him. The feeling came back as pain, the specific deep ache of tissue waking up. He did not regret what he had done. He had looked at 2 costs. He had chosen the one he could afford. That was all it had been. Across the camp, another man was recording names in a ledger by lamplight. Corvin watched the fire and did not think about the ledger. He thought about the warmth, and for now, that was enough. Two men looked at the same horizon. Both were cold, both were exhausted, and both were running the same calculation. But one stayed, and one walked. From the outside, those are opposite things, but from the inside, They are identical. The one thing to understand is that the mechanism does not change based on what a man does with it. It runs the same way in the loyal man and in the deserter, in the disciplined man and in the one who breaks. Pain is moved away from, and pleasure is moved towards, always. Every act of endurance, every act of retreat, every sacrifice, and every abandonment, all of it is the same engine, running on a different fuel. Most men find this uncomfortable. They want the man who stayed to be made of different material. They want his endurance to mean something about his character that the other man's departure does not. And it does mean something, but not what they think. What kept Aldrich at that post was not virtue in the abstract. It was cost. The internal price of leaving exceeded the physical price of staying. His father's silence, the erasure, the particular punishment of a house where dishonor was not discussed, only enacted. That was the cold that could not be endured, and the wind was nothing beside it. And Corvin was not weak. He had carried duty across 3 campaigns. He understood the word. He turned it over in his mind and found it had no heat left in it, not because he was deficient, because the wiring was different. What was assigned to him as painful, and what was assigned as bearable, had been laid down long before that mountain. He chose the cost he could afford. That was all. Neither man chose the system that drove him. Aldrich did not decide as a child that his father's silence would become the thing he could not survive. That was placed in him, shaped by repetition, by punishment, by the specific texture of the house he grew up in. And Corvin did not choose to find abstract duty weightless against physical suffering. That was formed in him too, across 3 campaigns and everything before them. A man does not select his associations. He inherits them and then acts on them as if they were his own. This is where most men stop thinking. They mistake inheritance for identity. They mistake the program for the man. The program says, this pain is intolerable. The program says, this cost is too high. The program says, this is who you are. And the man obeys, not because he decided to, but because he has never examined the difference between a decision and a reflex. A reflex is not a choice. A choice requires awareness of the mechanism. It requires a man to step back from the calculation long enough to ask, who built this system, and does it still serve me? Most men never ask. The cold presses in. The internal accounting happens faster than thought, and the man moves towards warmth, towards silence, towards whatever the old wiring classifies as relief, without noticing he moved at all. The work is not in the movement. The work is in what comes before it. In learning to see the calculation as it runs. In locating the associations that were placed there without consent. In asking, plainly, whether the pain assigned to something is proportionate or whether it is an old instruction still running long past its purpose. A man who was raised in silence may carry shame like a weapon pointed inward. He cannot ask for help. He cannot show uncertainty. He cannot step back from a position without it costing him something disproportionate. He calls this strength. It is not strength. It is a program that once protected him and now runs him. Chosen restraint and conditioned reaction look identical from the outside. Only one of them belongs to the man. Pain avoidance is not the enemy. It is the mechanism. The question is never whether the mechanism is running. It is always running. The question is what it is running on. Old associations formed before a man could evaluate them. Inherited fears, Punishment absorbed in childhood and carried into adulthood unchanged. Or something examined, something chosen, something a man decided was worth the cost after he understood what he was paying and why. That is a different kind of staying. Not the staying of a man who cannot afford to leave, but the staying of a man who has looked at the full cost clearly and without flinching and decided the post is worth holding. The mechanism is the same, but the man running it is not. One acts from what was placed in him, and the other acts from what he built. Both men face the same cold. Both men run the same calculation. But one of them wrote the terms. That is the difference. Not courage, not character in the abstract, just awareness. A man who knows why he stays, who has looked at the wiring and chosen to keep it, or changed it, or built something new in its place. That man is not being run. He is running. Steady, clear, and on his own.